Hi friends, it's Anne here, and today's video is going to be a ranking video. So I previously did a ranking all my bronzers video, which I'll link above and below, and this video is going to be ranking all of my highlighters. Now I guess it's not all, it's all of my single highlighters, same with the bronzers. It was all the single independent bronzers that are not in a palette with other items. And yeah, this was a lot harder. This took a lot longer than I thought it would take. One of the reasons being I have 18, I think, in this list. Yes, 18 highlighters in this list, so more than I have for bronzers. Also, I took a lot of photos. I did on like a one-day thing do all of my highlighters and take photos of all of them. I did it in like indoor lighting as well as outdoor lighting. Some of them, like, I just felt like the photo wasn't helping me and I couldn't really decide. Some of them, like one of them, I like put the highlighter on, wiped it off, put the next highlighter on, and then I realized in the photo that I still had highlighter from the previous photo. So yeah, I felt like I had to do some like additional testing and photos just to really feel a bit more comfortable with the ranking of this. Now I will preface this with, this order isn't 100% solid, like depending on the day, depending on the look, depending on what I'm trying to do, they will adjust, but I would say like the bottom realm, like the bottom 5 or 6 are definitely like the bottom, and then like the top 5 or 6 are definitely the top, and then the ones in the middle are just like meh, or like I like them for different reasons or different purposes, but they're not something like, if I were stuck on an island with one highlighter alone, what highlighter would I be satisfied with type highlighters. So let's stop blabbing along and let's get into the ranking. I will do swatches of all of them on my hand as I go along, and I'll also include at the end a swatch of all of them like next to each other on my arm, which is difficult because I have tiny arms, so I'll try and get them all in there. I do have a photo on my Instagram with most of these, I think. Pretty much all of them already swatched. So I'll see if I can link, I don't know if I can link to a direct picture, but it's in my Instagram. Not sure what month, but it was from this year, earlier this year. Okay, so let's start at the very bottom. Coming in at number 18 is this Artist Couture loose highlighter. It's called the Diamond Glow Powder, and this is in the shade Illuminati. This is very sparkly. It's a little too much for me for most days. I'm not 100% sure why I keep it around. Sometimes just for like, if I'm trying to do like a interesting look, or I'm not gonna lie, like Halloween, it's kind of good for that. But this is right at the bottom because I don't like the format. I don't like a loose highlighter. There it is on my finger there. There it is on the back of my hand. And I've discovered that for me, gold highlighters do not look good. I have cool undertone, and when something is gold, it really looks gold. It really pulls gold. So just blend this out a little bit. I mean, it is really pretty, and I do like it on occasion when I'm looking for something like this, but on a daily basis, this is not me. This is not happening. It's also a mess. I've already like spilled some on my table here. So yeah, that's why I don't like loose powders. I'll put pictures up of me wearing most of these. In some cases, the picture of me wearing these is just not effective. It's not helpful. But I took pictures anyway, and I'll try and pick like the most effective photo that I think like showcases the highlight as best as possible. So that's number 18. Number 17 is really only edging out number 18 because it's a pressed highlighter. It's the Laura Geller Baked Gelato Swirl Illuminator in Diamond Dust. I got this in a Try Beauty box. It's cool, but is it for like daily use? No. It looks pretty white when you're looking at it in the pan, but it's not. It's got a very, very strong pink shift. So there it is on my finger there. You can see the pink shift. And there it is on the back of my hand. So it's a pretty intense highlighter. Even if I blend it out, you can see it's like space. It's very much, I think, like the Kaleidos type highlighters. Although I feel like from what I've seen people swatching the Kaleidos ones, they're a bit more like glittery. This is not. This is like definitely just a sheen. It's just a metallic. There's really no indication of glitter particles in this whatsoever. Is it cool? Yeah, but is it really something I'm gonna wear? Not really. I'm curious to like try this mixed with some other highlighters. I haven't tried that yet. It could be interesting, especially ones that are a bit more yellow based. It could add an interesting dimension. I also haven't tried it as an eyeshadow topper, and I think I would probably like it as like an eyeshadow topper or like inner corner highlight, like something interesting like that. So yeah, like I'm gonna keep this around at least for a little while. Like I only got this year, so don't want to get rid of it just yet. Coming in at number 16 is this little single. It's a mini that I have. It's quite old. It's from Ofra and it's in the shade Bliss. And the reason why this is so low is A, it's gold. It's very gold based, and golds just don't work on me. B, it's very intense. So I only have 2 over highlighters. Both are intense. And from what I've seen from other people talking, these are definitely all like this. Like all the Ofra highlighters are like this. I mean, it's beautiful swatched. Again, I might prefer this better as an eyeshadow. I have used it as an eyeshadow. As you saw, I actually hit pan on that. I think it was in a project at one point. But you can see it's very blingy, and it's got a pretty deep base. It's maybe not super gold, but the base of that. Applicable for me in the summertime, but I really can't use this much beyond like the deep summer months where I actually have a tan. I mean, it is beautiful, and the only reason why it's ranking so low is like if I'm thinking, again, if I only had one highlighter to choose from, that definitely would not be it. I hope I have my numbers right. That was 16. This is number 15. So number 15 is this NYX highlighter. This was in the highlight and contour palette, but I think you can buy these as singles. I'm not 100% sure. At least at one point you could. The reason why this is so low is it's just white. Way too white. Although again, in my testing, I've discovered that I'm keeping this around because I think it will be good to mix with other highlights, especially ones that are too deep for me, like that Ofra one. But just a little too icy. Again, I've kind of determined that cooler undertones are better for me. Not warmer, not gold undertones, but this is just a little too icy, too frosty. And I don't think it's super flattering or super natural. So again, my preferences are something that's, I don't mind if something's glowy, but I want it to kind of meld with my skin a little bit more. Not look too like icy. Number 14, and I'm super disappointed that this is so low in the list because I just bought it this year. I actually don't even have my little sticker on the back yet. I need to put a sticker on this. This is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Opal, and this is just really, it's just too deep for me. Again, depths of the summer, I can use it, but I find just the undertone of this, again, it leans golder than I thought. I didn't realize Opal would be so gold. Like, isn't Opal like white? Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, you can see it's actually very similar to that Bliss in terms of you can see the deepness in the undertone, and it definitely has like a shine. I feel like, and this is maybe where Becca stands out, to me, they've got a great level of shine. It's not too much, it's not too little, and you can kind of build it or, go a bit more subtle, easier than with the Ofra ones. So, I mean, I can see why the formula of the Becca ones were so popular for so long. Again, there's no glitter, they're more of like that sort of satiny metallic kind of finish, so it's very flattering. But you can just see, that undertone on my skin is just a little too deep. And for that reason, it's really hard for me to wear that on its own. Again, maybe try mixing like these two together. I haven't tried that yet, and I might like it a little bit better. Lucky number 13 on this list is this single highlighter from Clionadh. This is in the shade Mini. This is a limited edition. It was based on the name, I think Minnie was one of their dogs' names or maybe cats' names, and they did donations to, I'm not sure what shelter, but when you bought this, there was a donation to a shelter, and yeah, it came like super packaged, really prettily. Every single one's a little bit different because it's got a swirl. You'll probably be able to guess why this is so low. Again, very much like the NYX one, super icy. This one is a little less icy because there's other tones in there. There's sort of like a purpley tone and a pinky tone. So this has a bit more depth to it than just the straight up like NYX one that's pretty white. But again, this is pretty white. There is I'd say like a pink shift to this. I don't think that's translating very well on camera. You almost are seeing a blue shift. Well, it's almost duochromy. You see what I mean? For that reason, that's why it's kind of low though, because it's like you don't know what you're gonna get. It is really pretty on. I do like it. As you can see, I don't really use this very much. partially because it's limited edition. I think, again, this might be better like with my eyeshadows instead of as a face product. I don't think to use this as an eyeshadow, but I think I'd probably prefer it. Again, probably more of a topper type shade, sort of like a shade that might be good to like brighten a look. I do have some liquid highlighters in here and some things that are maybe not necessarily highlighters, but I've included them in here because they can be used as highlighters. I may not necessarily use them as a straight up highlighter, at least even on their own. But number 12 is this Say, I don't know the name of this product at all. I will put it up on the screen. I have no idea what the name of this product is, but it's more of like a glowy primer type thing. You can touch up like on your cheeks. Trying to put this on like really intensely just does not work. It's gonna move your foundation. I feel like this gives a really nice finish. It almost gives that like gloss, like that wet, maybe that glass look kind of thing. Better on like a no makeup, low makeup kind of day, or layering it with something else. I've mentioned this before, it has a weird smell. It's sort of like a baby powder smell. It's a bit odd. I also feel like I've only used this a few times, but I feel like I'm kind of flying through it. I've been using it more as like a glowy primer than an actual highlight. So yeah, for me, this is maybe not necessarily a highlight. And out of all like the liquids, this is almost like the least effective. Like as much as I like a natural look, there's a point where it's too natural. It's like there was no point. But yeah, this is an okay product, but I don't love it as a highlighter. And I don't think that's really what it's intended for. So there it is on the back of my hand. And just blended it out a bit there. And you can see it's definitely that like glass kind of glow, which is kind of cool. If you have really nice skin, that probably would look really nice. Like you don't need anything else on, just throw this on. Yeah, that like sort of wet look. But it's hard to put this in the listing because it's different from others, and a few others are like that too. So speaking of which, the one right above that is this Temptu BoxyCharm Liquid Glow. This was from 2017 BoxyCharm, and I actually don't use this as a highlighter. I think maybe in this video was the first time I tried this as a highlighter. And what I normally do is use this and mix it with foundation. And probably the only reason why this is one higher than the Say is this can be used as a highlighter and you can actually see what you're doing, and it does have like an actual effect, like if you're doing a full face of makeup. So hopefully you can see, it's a little runny. That's it on the back of my hand there. Again, one of the challenges with this one is the undertone is a little deep on its own. That's kind of why I like mixing it with foundation, particularly in the summertime, because it does help ever so slightly tint my foundation maybe a bit deeper. That could just be psychological, but you can see the undertone of this is a little bit deep. So again, kind of have to be careful with this. And like I said, I don't normally use this as just like top of the cheekbone, high points of the face type highlighter. This next one, I'm actually really surprised this is so low on the list because I totally thought this would be higher up. And I'll explain why. So number 10 is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. It's the Lunar New Year one from 2019, the year of the pig. Mine's a little nushed, so I have to be careful showing it. It looks really pink in the pan, and I feel like that's why I was drawn to this, but there's sort of a yellow shift I'm not liking, and I didn't really notice it until I was wearing this and taking photos. And yeah, it's just maybe the combination. It's like a goldeny pink, and that for me just doesn't work super well. So hopefully you can see there, it's not as pink as you would think it is. It's got a bit of a gold shift. And again, I think that's just my skin tone. I think if there's any sort of gold in something, my skin tone really pulls that out because I have such a cool undertone that the gold really almost contrasts with my skin, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was kind of like surprised that I didn't like that one as much as I thought I did. I'm a little disappointed in myself. Maybe it's not a bad thing because it's like limited edition, you can't get it anymore. It is what it is. And mine's like totally smushed. Number 9, so as I said before, I like a subtle highlight that sort of melds with the skin, but I still like it to look like a highlight, like you've put highlight on. This is number 9 because it's too subtle. It almost disappears. Like I tried this multiple days because I'm like, maybe I'm just crazy. This is the Quan. I didn't even say what it is. It's the Quan Celestial Powder in Candlelight. And I feel like this is not really a highlighter, but a highlighting powder, if that makes sense. So there it is on the back of my hand. And it looks pretty good when I do a really heavy swatch. But when I start blending it a little bit, it almost, like you can see, where'd it go? Like you can sort of see it. It's sort of there, but it pretty much disappears right away. So yeah, again, kind of disappointing product. I would have had higher expectations for this. Like I think this is a really pricey product. Again, I think it serves a purpose in a different way than like, just say like, you know, an Ofra Bliss highlighter. Like I feel like this is maybe more, and maybe I've got this sort of in a wrong thing. Like this is maybe more of like a finishing powder, an overall brightening powder, like just, you know, where you use a lighter powder kind of just to emphasize the high points of the face, but not actually highlight, if that makes sense. Like more or less to give depth, kind of like the opposite of contouring, but without going the added step of highlight, like shiny highlight. I don't know if I made any sense there, but yeah, that's the only reason why that's so low, is because it's kind of it's a tricky product. I think I should maybe move this to like my face powders and use it like a finishing powder. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, so maybe I should try that. This is sort of like helping me like revisit and re-explore some of my products and think of like alternative uses for them and like help curb buying more things. Or like having, like saying like, oh, I've got, you know, 14, 18 highlighters when I really don't have 18 straight up highlighters. Like there's alternate ways to use these products. I'm just trying to justify some stuff to myself, okay? Number 8 is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. Again, the only reason why this is so low is if I'm trying to rank this with like, you know, actual powder type highlights, this wouldn't be a go-to method because it's just not the same. And I prefer to use this more like the Say type product, like a priming foundation, or like layering this priming foundation, priming highlighter. Or like, you know, I might put my foundation on and then put a little bit of this on my cheeks and then add a highlight on top, because this in and of itself is not super glowy. And if you try and build this up, you will wreck your foundation. Like if you try and build this up like a highlight and really see the effect, because you can really see the effect of this if it's really built up, but it's going to ruin your foundation. At least it did for me. So there's a pretty heavy swatch on the back of my hand. I think this is shade number 1. And then that's just it, sort of gently blend it out. This kind of product though too, you got to be careful. If you blend out too much, you can blend it away. But again, to me it's the right tone compared to the Temp 2 one, and it's sort of the right level of shine compared to the Say one. So that's why I like this one over those two. So now we're kind of getting into the realm of like, I liked all of these, but there's maybe some subtle differences between them, and that's the only reason why some rank higher than others. So number 7 on my list is the Colourpop Flexitarian. And I like this, I like the tone, I like the shine. The only reason why this is as low as it is it can kind of look glittery in some lights. So in natural light right now, I don't think it looks glittery. So there it is on my finger there. And there it is swiped. It just looks maybe more metallic. But soon as I start blending it out, and then if I'm working in my den, this looks glittery. Also, it's maybe a little too intense. It's hard to do this subtly. It can be pretty intense, but I like the tone. I like the way this looks. It's got that right level of brightness for my skin tone. And I can see why this particular shade is so popular. Actually, it surprised me that it was as cool tone as it is, because I feel like most of the popular highlighters are warm tone. So speaking of which, I do not have Becca's Champagne Pop, and I don't think I will ever buy it, even though Smashbox has now taken it over, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be way too gold tone for me, regardless of how popular it is and how much I feel like I have a bit of FOMO because I don't have it and I've never tried it. I can pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be the right shade for my skin tone. This one surprised me as ranking as high as it did. Mentally, I put this where I had the Year of the Pig, but when I've actually used these and tried them, I like this one better. This is the Becca Moonstone highlighter, and so this is number 6, if I didn't say number 6, and you can see I've been working on this pan. I thought this might be a little too gold on me, but because it's bright enough, like it's much brighter than the opal, and it's maybe a little less subtle in gold compared to the Year of the Pig, that it works better for me. This is, like I said, it's in my project pan right now. Hopefully you can see that swatch there. And I feel like you can get, like, again, the Becca one just has the nice balance between, they're not as intense as the Ofra ones, but you still get that metallic, that really nice sheen on these. So yeah, I was surprised that that one, I liked it as much as I did. And I am sad that I'm finishing it. I did talk about it'll go up before this, my buys and buys, that I did come across a full-size Moonstone in Marshalls. I did not buy it because plethora of other, I have 5 other highlights that have ranked higher than that. So really, do I need to buy it? No. And if I'm going to buy a highlighter, I'd rather buy something that's up and coming or new or still available, because I have a YouTube channel. Again, it might be a little bit different if I didn't have a YouTube channel. But yeah, I would rather save space for something that makes more sense for me to buy than buy something just because I'm like sad I'm finishing one and buying it as a replacement. Kind of a tangent there. Hopefully that made sense. Number 5 is the Ofra Start Inspired Highlighter from the Samantha March collection. And again, I'm surprised that I ranked this as high as I did. And one of the reasons is the color tone. So hopefully you can see there's like pink and yellow in this. And that pink is what really makes it for me. Also, even though this is kind of intense, like it's Ofra intense, I feel like I can go a bit subtle with this. Like I can go kind of subtle with it if I try. And it's just, yeah, like it's a really nice highlighter. It's a really good one. And I think too, like depending on your skin tone, you can focus more on the pink or you can focus more on the yellow. I mean, I just swirl the whole thing together. And it's got enough of that lightness to it. Like, you know how I talked about some of the ones that are lower in my ranking? It's just because they have a bit of a deeper undertone that just doesn't work on my skin tone. Yeah, this one's very similar to Flexitarian, I think. Maybe less white, cool tone, but has a similar shine. But I feel like I can control the shine on this one just a little bit better. Again, another one that really surprised me, and I'm really surprised I've ranked this as high, and I'm kind of sad that I've neglected this because I've had it for a while. I've had it since 2018, so I should be done with this by now. Should show up in a future project. Partners in Cream, maybe? Anyway, this is the Milk Makeup Highlight Stick in Lit. And yeah, I was just really surprised that the tone of this works so well with my skin tone. I just didn't know that. I don't know. I think for me, this being a cream product, I kind of avoided because I'm more comfortable with powder products. I'll just say it. I'm more comfortable with it. I feel like there's more room for error. I feel like cream products can get a bit dicey. That's a pretty heavy swatch there on the back of my hand, and I just feel like this works really, really well with my skin tone. It's that right kind of champagne nude color, like my nude kind of color. And I can see this working on a lot of different skin tones. Also, I think it's definitely one that I can layer with something else if I really wanted to get even blingier. My only downside on this one, my only negative, is that this doesn't last very long. Like I felt like after 3 or 4 hours, I was like, is it there anymore? Like I put it on, I was like, oh, it looks great. But then after a few hours, I check in the mirror and I'm like, I think it's really faded. Like I feel like it just fades on me. It doesn't last, which is kind of unfortunate. Number 3 might have been your guess for me for number 1, because I think I've said this in like even comments that if I could only pick one highlighter, this might be it. This probably would be it. However, upon reviewing photos, I noticed something about this. So number 3 is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. And this is the original. I think it's called 10, Be My Highlight. And love this. I love that it's fairly subtle. I love the tone of this. Hopefully you can see that on the back of my hand there. It's a really pretty, again, champagne, like in between. It's a bit pink, it's a bit gold, it's a bit light, like it's light. It's got all the elements that I really, really like, and I feel like, again, blending that out, it's a nice subtle, I can even like blend it all over my face. The reason why this is number 3 is there's some sort of undercast to it, and I never see it like when I swatch it. I never even see it in the mirror. I only saw it when I took photos, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I tested it multiple times, and I was like, oh, there is like an undercast to it, like a deeper. So if you're like super pale, this probably actually doesn't work for you. And I never noticed that before. I was like, oh, that's a fun fact. and it kind of made me like this a little bit less. My little like love affair. I thought we were, you know, soulmates, but you were hiding something from me. So yeah, just it was interesting, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed that or felt that, or maybe other people just their skin tone is deeper, so they don't see that. But I was kind of taken aback by that. It surprised me. But I still love that highlighter overall. It's the right kind of satin sheen. It's not too metallic. It's not sparkly. It just overall, like, it's a comfortable highlight that I can pick up and know I like how it looks on my face. I just didn't notice that undercast. And I think the other reason why I don't notice the other undercast is once I put blush on, you don't really see it. Like, it's not really there because it sort of melds in with my blush. But when I did the highlight alone, I was like, oh, look at that. That was interesting. Number 2 on my list, again, surprising that this came up as number 2, and I'm not even sure you can buy this anymore. I don't even know what's going on with this brand anymore. It is the Pretty Vulgar highlight. They call this the Shimmering Swan highlighter, and this is in the shade Glimmers of BS, I think. I think that's how it goes. And for me, this is like the nicest champagne type highlighter I have. Okay, my camera cut me off because I've been talking for too long. I have no idea where I left off at, but hopefully I was showing this. This is a blended out version of the Pretty Vulgar highlight. And again, I feel like this is a good highlight in terms of I can go real subtle with it. I can go intense with it. It sort of hits all the right notes for me in terms of what I would look for in a highlighter. My number 1 highlighter is the highlight I have on my face today, and it is this one. It is the Catrice More Than Glow highlighter, and this is number 1 for multiple reasons. So it's number 1 because it's affordable. I'm always liking affordable. It is pink toned, but it's not too pink toned. It doesn't really have any gold in it. It's sort of like, I don't know if it's a baked gelée. It says it's made in Italy. No, it's made in Public PRC, so it's definitely not the baked gelée. But it's got that like soft, almost like a Super Shock shadow type. And there it is right there. I don't think I said the shade in this one. This is in the shade 020 Supreme Rose Beam. So there are other shades. I haven't tried any of the other shades, but this shade for me is just perfect. Again, pretty intense. Can be pretty intense, but I feel like I can also do this one pretty lightly as well, depending on the brush and the application method. Again, that's it there, sort of. That's a pretty heavy swatch I did, and that's it blended out. But it's got the right level of iciness for me, but not too icy. Like, I've learned this through this exercise. I have learned, and I kind of knew this before, that gold undertone highlights don't work for me, but like, I really struggle with any kind of gold. I didn't know how bad it sort of clashed with my skin tone. And that pink ones, or some that have that sort of pink-ish undertone, like, I'd be interested to see what this looks like on someone that has a really warm or olive or yellow undertone skin, because this might look super pink. I have no idea. But for me, this is number 1, and this is something I've kind of learned. You know, you watch a lot of YouTube videos and you see other people like hype up products like, you know, the Becca and like the Champagne Pop. And I found this is one of the reasons why I wanted to start my channel, because I found a lot of the recommendations and a lot of people that were following had warm undertones. And I didn't really realize that until I started buying things that they were recommending and being like, ugh, that does not suit me at all. And I was like, oh, now I know why. They were either like deeper skin tone than me or warm undertone than me, and what they recommended and what worked for them and what they really hyped up just didn't work for me. It's not suited for my skin type or skin tone and skin color. And that's the fun thing about, you know, makeup in general, though, that there is such a wide variety. Like, what my favorite can be, it can be completely different than somebody else's. And there's room for all of that. Like, I love that. I love that about makeup, that there's so many products and there's a lot of variety, and that we can play with different things. And even certain things, like maybe this would be my number 1 because I like a really interesting pink reflect, because that's some people's style, and that's cool. Anyway, I did find this an interesting exercise. I found like there was a few things that I realized I wasn't using that I liked, and things that I was using or that I thought for sure would be like favorites, not so much. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this ranking video. If you did, feel free to give a little thumbs up down below. I am going to maybe try a blush ranking video with all of my single blushes. I feel like that's going to be even harder than this. Although I'm not sure, because it could be like very much apparent what's my favorite and not my favorite. I did find, I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning, I did find that with my bronzers, they all look essentially the same. I found with the highlighters, like there are differences. I think we're just about done here, so I'm going to wrap this up. And I just wanted to say, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel here in Toronto, Canada, I hope you do subscribe. And I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.